Welcome back to Sail to Sleep. Tonight, we're venturing into one of the ocean's darkest mysteries, a tale that has haunted sailors for over a century and still sends chills down the spines of those who hear it. This is the story of the ghost ship that sailed without a crew. Picture this: December 4th, 1872. The Atlantic Ocean stretches endlessly in every direction, cold and gray beneath heavy clouds. A British brigantine called the Dei Gratia cuts through the rolling swells when suddenly her crew spots something unsettling on the horizon. Another ship, drifting aimlessly, her sails tattered and flapping in the wind like the wings of some dying creature. As they draw closer, an eerie silence hangs over the vessel. No one responds to their hails. No figures appear on deck. The ship is the Mary Celeste, and she's been sailing herself for 9 days through the unforgiving Atlantic, guided only by currents and wind. When the Dei Gratia's boarding party climbed aboard, they found something that defied explanation. The Mary Celeste was seaworthy, her cargo of 1,700 barrels of industrial alcohol largely intact. 6 months' worth of food and water remained untouched. In the captain's cabin, his wife's sewing lay abandoned mid-stitch. The ship's clock had stopped. Below deck, 3.5 feet of water sloshed in the hold, but not enough to sink her. Most disturbing of all, the ship's lifeboat was missing, and every single soul who had sailed aboard her had vanished without a trace. 10 people had been on that ship. Captain Benjamin Briggs, an experienced seaman and devout Christian who never drank, known throughout the maritime community as cautious and level-headed. His wife Sarah and their 2-year-old daughter Sophia. 7 crew members, all carefully selected. The captain's log lay open on the table, frozen on November 25th, when the Mary Celeste was 6 nautical miles from the Azores. The final entry was routine, unremarkable. Nothing suggested the terror that must have followed. What could drive an experienced captain to abandon a perfectly sound ship in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean? The theories multiplied like shadows in the night. Some whispered of mutiny, but there were no signs of violence. Others spoke of pirates, yet the valuable cargo remained untouched, the crew's belongings still in their quarters. More outlandish theories emerged: sea monsters rising from the depths, alien abductions, curses from the ship's previous misfortunes. But the truth, as it often is, was likely more mundane, yet somehow more terrifying in its simplicity. The alcohol barrels in the hold had begun to leak, filling the confined spaces below deck with invisible, explosive fumes. Perhaps Captain Briggs, checking the cargo, smelled the alcohol and saw empty barrels. In his mind, an explosion was imminent. With his wife and daughter aboard, he made a split-second decision: get everyone into the lifeboat, trail behind the ship with a rope, wait to see if she would explode. It was supposed to be temporary, a precaution. But something went wrong. Maybe rough seas snapped the line connecting the lifeboat to the Mary Celeste. Maybe the ship drifted faster than expected. Whatever happened, 10 people found themselves adrift in a small boat in the middle of the Atlantic in December, watching their only hope of survival fade into the distance. The Mary Celeste sailed on alone, an empty shell drifting across hundreds of miles of ocean, waiting to be found. The crew of the Dei Gratia, hoping for salvage money, brought her to Gibraltar. British authorities investigated, but found no evidence of foul play, although they paid only a fraction of the ship's value in salvage, suspicious of the whole affair. The Mary Celeste continued sailing under various owners for 12 more years, but she was forever marked by that mysterious voyage. Sailors refused to crew her, calling her cursed. She gained a reputation as a death ship, a vessel haunted by the souls of those who vanished from her deck. Eventually, her final captain deliberately ran her aground off Haiti in 1884 as part of an insurance fraud scheme. Even in her death, deception followed her. But the Mary Celeste is not alone in maritime history's catalog of ghost ships. In 1931, the cargo steamer SS Batramo was trapped in Arctic ice off Alaska. Her crew abandoned her, certain she would sink when winter's full fury arrived. But the Batramo had other plans. For 38 years, she sailed the Arctic waters without a single soul aboard, spotted repeatedly by Inuit hunters and other vessels, always drifting, always just out of reach. She became known as the ghost ship of the Arctic, appearing and disappearing like some phantom from another world. Her final sighting came in 1969, trapped once more in ice between icy Cape and Barrow. After that, she vanished, presumably claimed at last by the frozen depths. Then there's the legend of the Octavius, though historians debate whether this tale is truth or sailor's fiction. According to the story, in 1775, whalers discovered a ship trapped in Arctic ice off Greenland. When they boarded, they found the entire crew of 28 frozen solid below deck. The captain sat at his desk, pen still in hand, his wife and child huddled nearby under blankets. The log showed a final entry from November 11th, 1762, 13 years earlier. The ship had attempted the Northwest Passage and become imprisoned in ice, drifting through the Arctic for over a decade with its crew frozen in their final moments, completing the passage posthumously, a ghost ship in the most literal sense. These vessels share something beyond their abandonment. They all sailed on when they should have stopped. They defied the natural order, continuing their journeys without living hands to guide them, without voices to break the silence of their empty decks. They became monuments to the sea's indifference, reminders that the ocean takes what it wants and gives back only mysteries. The fate of the Mary Celeste's crew was never determined with certainty. No bodies were ever recovered. No wreckage from the lifeboat ever washed ashore. They simply vanished, swallowed by the Atlantic, leaving behind only questions and a ship that sailed itself to become legend. And on foggy nights, some sailors still claim to see her, drifting through the mist, her sails hanging limp, her decks empty, forever searching for the crew that abandoned her over 150 years ago. If you enjoyed tonight's journey into maritime mystery, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Sail to Sleep for more tales from the deep. Until next time, sleep well, and remember, the ocean keeps its secrets.